Hello fellow hobbyists, I'm Jason and today I'm going to show you how to paint the new Beast Snaggas knob on Smasha Squig right here on Level Up Hobbies. Let's get painting.
Hey everyone, so I've got this knob on Smasha Squig and I've got them all put together and based. And so my first step here is to actually add some texture to the base. So what I'm going to do is pull out some Citadel's Technical Agrellon Earth, and I'm just going to start slapping this kind of various places across this base. I'm not going to cover the entire base with it because I want some alternating textures on here, so I will apply this and then leave some spaces open for applying some basing sand after this is dry. And once I get all of the Agrellon earth placed, I actually sprinkle a little bit of basing sand around the edges, so there's a smooth transition between the Agrellon earth and the sand, like once I get it placed. Next, I apply some PVA glue to the remaining areas and spread that around with an old brush. And then once I'm ready, I just dip this in my basing little tray here and cover it with sand and just kind of sprinkle off a little bit of the excess and wait for that to dry. And I get a nice transition between the Agrellon earth and the sand. After basing the model in black primer, I then give it an overall zenithal highlight with some Liquitex titanium white ink. Now this is going to be a lot heavier than an actual zenithal. I'm kind of really getting into the details and getting them ready to receive the next colors, which will be a little lighter, so I need a lighter base coat. So this will help leaving some shadows, and then I'll have these highlights that'll shine through. And for the orc flesh, I'm going to lay down a coat of Plaguebearer flesh contrast paint. I'm using the airbrush. This puts it on nice and smooth and just really thin, and that white highlight really shines through using it this way. Now I take some sap green from Liquitex and I begin building up those lower shadows by layering this over that Plaguebearer flesh. And with this being a very translucent color, it lays down very nicely and really develops those shadows even more. I first saw this technique on Marco Frazzoni's channel when he was painting his Cruel Boys, and I really liked it and tried it out on mine, and I really like how this turns out. Now I grab some Steel Legion Drab and I start to apply this on different parts of the model, mainly the trousers, and then also the wraps on his chain axe. So I take that Steel Legion Drab and then I mix in some Barachnon Burgundy and black, and it basically makes Rhinox hide. And I start painting in the remaining leather bits with this, so his boots, belts, straps, and anything else that needs some love. I now take some Baraknar Burgundy and I base the animal skin across his shoulders with this. And this doesn't last long. I actually end up painting over this in Corax white for an alternate color in a little bit. But just shows you that, you know, you don't have to be tied to any colors that you put on a model. If you want to change something, change it. So now I grab the Corax white and I base, you know, a couple parts of the model, you know, the axe head, the armor on the shoulder, a couple other small bits. And this is also where I make that executive decision to forego the burgundy leather across his shoulders and, you know, go with another color. So I base that also. And now I grab Sombor Gray from Vallejo, and I'm going to use this for that animal skin on his shoulders because I'm painting this guy up as a Death Skull, and I just think this kind of goes more with the Death Skull theme than the Baraknar Burgundy did. And having the blue and then a burgundy, they're just kind of too many conflicting colors, I think, on the model. And now, in honor of Gork and Mork, I grab the Calidor Sky and start adding some blue to the sky, because no Death Skull is ever complete without a good shade of blue. Now I move up to the axe, and I'm going to start adding some checks to this thing. So I just grab my brush, roll it in some of the blue, and start lightly drawing in very small squares. And then once I get those drawn in, I'll fill it, and then go back and just keep adding, layering color into it until I'm happy with it. If one of the squares gets a little deformed or I'm not happy with it, I can go back in with the Corax white and clean up those lines. But this is an orc, so it doesn't have to look perfect anyways. I doubt they're throwing, you know, mask on there and, you know, getting perfect lines when they're painting up their weapons and, you know, armor. So now I base all of the metal pieces on this thing with Vallejo's exhaust manifold. Anything that's going to be steel or brass is all like gets a base coat of this. I decided to add some more body painting to him, so I was adding to this tattoo that I freehanded on his arm. So I just, you know, used the same blue and just started adding lines around his bicep, around his arm. And now I grab Xandri Dust and I start adding color to the squig. And for this, I'm going to be applying it on the underside, on his belly. And so he's going to be a two-tone color here. It takes about 2 coats like for it to get really good coverage. And the edges are very broken and like jagged, like there's no like smooth like transition. So now I hit this guy with some corn red, and I thin this out and just start layering it over the entire model. Well, not the entire, just the upper half of the model. I actually thinned this out a little too much. It ended up taking me probably like 3 coats to get a nice red color on here. Now I grab the Xandri Dust again and I start cleaning up where the red may have ran down into it and just some of the edges, making sure it looks decent. And I continue with the Xandri Dust here, and I work on the transition between the red and tan. I just add, stipple a couple, random dots and shapes, going from the tan into the red and vice versa. And then after this point, I go through and anything that I'd painted on the orc, so like the leather straps and the metal bits, I complete it right after this stage here. I grab Corvus Black and I use this on the nails of the squig, and then also the claws and those spikes on that leather that the knob's wearing.
Hey friends, just a quick reminder, if you're enjoying the video, give me a thumbs up down below. And while you're at it, if you haven't already, subscribe to my channel and hit that bell icon so you can be notified whenever I publish new videos. Alright, let's get back to painting.
Now I take some Balthazar gold and I just start picking out pieces that I want to make brass. Take some more Xandri Dust, and I use this to pick out any pieces that should be a bone color. So like this guy's teeth, and then some decorations on the knob and also the knob's teeth. Now I add some base color to the the base, and this is a Vallejo German camo brown, I believe, and I just paint this all over the base and get coverage, make sure that you don't get it on the model. So now I grab my oils and I make 2 washes, one a green and black wash for the orc skin, and then the other one is a brown and black wash, and this will be to cover the rest of both models. I thin this down with some odorless mineral spirits and just begin applying it pretty liberally, like over the entire model. I'm not worried about one color getting on the other parts or vice versa, but I am focusing the green on the skin and then the brown everywhere else, and this will slightly tint the colors that you have already applied, and then it will also flow into the recesses and give a nice shade. I grab some cotton swabs and makeup sponges, and I just begin wiping away the excess oil wash after it's sat on the model for a few minutes now. And I just dab at it and wiping away out this excess. I don't push very hard. I don't want to pull that wash out of those recesses, but I just want to get that excess from laying off the surface. The way this wash works is it's going to sit on there and it's going to stain those colors, and then it also runs into the recesses and darkens those recesses up. So it adds a lot more depth to the colors that have previously been painted on the model. I mix up a highlight using oil paints again. This time I just use some white and a little bit of green. Add just a tad bit of yellow in there. And I lightly dab this in the highlight areas. And be careful because a little oil paint goes a long, long way. So I just do little dot highlights, and then I'm going to go in with a clean dry brush and just feather out those highlights. And I do the same with his leather bits here. I go back to the corn red and I begin dry brushing it over the upper half of the squig body, being very careful not to get this over the rest of the parts that we painted. And this will gradually just build up that red over the oil wash that we've just applied. So we'll have that deep transition between the darker parts of the wash and to the natural corn red color that we started with. I grabbed some Cadian Flesh Tone and I'm going to start hitting just those raised bumps, like warts and stuff, all along the squig's back, and just giving them like a highlight. And at this point, I affix the knob to the squig with some glue and have a couple additional steps after this, but just wanted to make sure the model was looking good, the colors were kind of coinciding, and it's all looking pretty sweet, I think. I added some weathering to the plate on the squig's head, some scratches and stuff on there. I make a glaze with Nagaroth Night and Lamian Medium, and I begin just adding this in any of the areas that I'd like a nice transition to, like a bruised feel. So around the head on this like smashing plate, I glaze it in around the feet, and then also any of the wounds. I'll glaze that around the edges. It's like almost like raw, like hurt flesh. Now I take some Screaming Skull and I use this to highlight up the teeth on both the orc and the squig that he's riding. I make sure that I leave some of the Xandri dust and wash like in the recesses. I take some steel gray from Vallejo Game Color, and I use this to highlight up the blue armor pieces throughout the model, both on the squig and the orc. And then I also use it to highlight up the that bluish gray cloak animal skin that the orc is wearing. I use some smoke from Vallejo, and I thin this out and just start building up the like kind of rusted, tarnished look of the metal. I then use some Stormhost silver, and I start adding like scratches and dings and just little highlights throughout the metal bits. Alright, and the knob on Smasha Squig is complete. I really enjoy how this model turned out. I'm liking the direction they went with the new orc models. It's adding a lot of character that the models have previously... well, they've always had character, the orcs have. But I think like the last version of like the boys, it's needed an update, and I'm liking where they're going with this. And thank you for joining me as I painted this guy. It was a great experience. I hope you guys can take something away from this and add it to your own armies. It doesn't have to be orcs. I mean, techniques are, they can be used on any type of armies or other genres of painting, if you will. But yeah, thanks for joining me here, and I'll catch you guys next time. Later.
Thanks again for joining me here on Level Up Hobbies as I painted this Beast Snaggas knob on Smasha Squig. Now if you enjoyed the video, go ahead and give me a thumbs up down below, leave a comment, subscribe to my channel, and then go ahead and hit that bell icon so you can be notified whenever I publish new materials. Thanks again, and remember, build, paint, and play tabletop games. Later.